Here are some stats for you. Yo Maps, 7 million views. Slap D, 700,000 views. Makitu, 4 million views. Chef 187, 900,000 views. Chandana K, 3 million views. Y Celeb, 500,000 views. Pompi, 1 million views. Ebo Chungu, 800,000 views. Mark 44, 200,000 views. So the list goes on and on and on. And really something interesting is happening here. When you compare our local Zambian artists to other artists on these different platforms, we're seeing that our local artists aren't really making, if at all, are even making any form of money compared to these artists from these different countries. And we have to ask ourselves, what exactly is happening here? So firstly, we have to understand, how is money really made online by you just interacting and watching videos or listening to music? The internet or cloud is actually just a room filled with hard drives, and like all things, they need maintenance, they need electricity, they need more space, they need cooling. The list goes on and on. And like all things, these things cost money. So here comes the question. How is it that all this is free for you to use on the internet? So when you happen to buy talk time and buy your bundles, it's not like part of that money is going to Facebook, part of it is going to WhatsApp, part of it is going to Google. I mean, how many websites are on the internet? I don't really understand where that notion came from. That's not what's really happening online. Instead, these websites use another currency, and that turns out to be ads. So really think about it. Whenever you're trying to download or even stream different things from different platforms, you're met with ads left, right, and center. And that is what's sustaining these different websites online. Let's make this a little bit personal. Imagine we have a website and we put this song here. Every user who visits this website will have a unique ID. So if an ad appears whilst the user is interacting with our platform on this particular artist's work, part of the money that this company paid to place their ad on our website will go to this particular artist. When a user clicks on this particular ad and they get a redirect, let's say to the original website where they can find these products, the company paying for this ad will register that redirect, and this will increase the amount of potential money brought to them and the amount of money they'll be willing to pay on our website looking at these statistics. What does this mean in this case? Suppose we pay 10 ngwe for every user that views an ad on this particular artist page. Clicking on this ad will further increase the artist pay to a 15 ngwe. Are you still with me? Let's move on. Now, whenever you're online and trying to download something, you are specifically looking for that particular thing, and so you aren't really clicking on ads. There's zero interaction really with these ads. And this makes these companies really sad. So these websites still need a solution because we're not necessarily interacting with these ads left, right, and center. They still need to make money because it costs money to host these movies, this music, these games, and those sorts of other content that they have on their platforms. And so they find another solution that happens to be a nuisance. Forced redirects. Whatever it is that you click on, these websites will register that just as clicking on an ad. And really the ad doesn't even have to appear on the web page, and you don't even have to click on anything that's interactive on the web page. That way they can take these statistics to these companies and give them false impressions showing that they're actually bringing people to these different platforms. So that is ads in a nutshell. Now, how does this affect our local Zambian artists? Whenever our Zambian artists are placing their work on these different platforms, again, whose origin isn't necessarily here in Zambia, and we're not really seeing or even interacting with ads at large, you have to remember that these ads, a part of them are used to pay different artists for their work and for bringing people. And when you remove a huge chunk out of, that whole process, that whole system, it leaves our artists not making enough money. And that's the benefit of ads online. Another system that's used is subscriptions. However, for the sake of this video, we'll focus on the ads part because that's what's sustaining this free use of these websites online. So back to our artist. He currently has 3 listeners on his page. One is a paid subscriber in red. The other 2 are free subscribers, one in blue, the other in black. The blue user sees an ad that is 10 ngwe to our artist. The black user also sees the same ad and clicks on it. This time it gives us 15 ngwe to our artist. And lastly, the red user is paying a 10 kwacha monthly subscription. so he won't really see any ads. And for this, let's just say 15 ngwe will go to our artist. That is roughly 40 ngwe that our artist has made. So the next time you're on YouTube and happen to see your favorite artist getting millions and millions of views, ask yourself these important questions. Firstly, where are the majority of views coming from? Like, what country is this? If the answer is Zambia, that will greatly reduce the amount of money that particular artist will make online, unfortunately. Secondly, did you see any ads before, even during the video? So this is a normal YouTube page. This is what it looks like, nothing new here. But what happens when I set my location using a VPN to a place like, let's say, the USA? Immediately we refresh the home page, we're met with ads at the top, and even when we start watching videos, we can see ads that are popping up within the video. And the more we watch videos, we get even ad interruptions. Within the video, an ad pops up. Now, like we've learned earlier on, the more ads you see, the more ads you interact is really money to different artists. So like here in Zambia, the first time I ever watched a YouTube video and saw ads was during the elections, and really again it wasn't on any Zambian based creators, so I don't necessarily think it still counts in this case. So that has to tell you the importance of seeing ads online. And lastly, are you a paid subscriber, and how much time are you spending interacting with that particular artist's work? If you answer these three important questions, you then understand why our artists aren't necessarily making enough or making as much money as they have to make by placing their work on these platforms. So what is the solution? What will be the best move for our Zambian artists? And when you look at our Zambian artists, their work, the different things they've done online, they really do have an audience, they really do have a fan base that's interacting with them based off these millions and millions of views that they are getting. But the current system that's put in place isn't necessarily favorable for them. And really we can't necessarily blame these companies because, you know, they're not Zambian-based companies, and how many Zambian-based companies are willing to pay these companies to advertise their work? Another thing that can be said is Zambian shows. We can have local shows that can be done. Well, that is a possibility. However, for the average artist, a show just won't necessarily be possible because it does cost money to put out work. This video is paid for by other videos that I'm doing. Insert ad. Cheap ad insert. Cheap ad insert. So this video is being paid for by some other videos that I do. Artist work is being paid for by different things. And so we need a different solution. We need something better that can help out grow the music industry and really all sorts of artists and content creators in this country. Two solutions actually can be found. And the first one is buying their work offline, and for that, let's try to look for a couple of stores that still sell local CDs. Okay, so I've tried Town, I've tried Manda Hill, I've tried Arcades, and now at East Park Mall, and I just can't seem to find any stores that are still selling physical copies of Zambian music. And really that isn't surprising with the coming up and normalization of the internet, and this means that people would rather have soft copy music on their devices for convenience sake, which isn't really surprising. Now, I did talk to different store owners and different places that used to host some physical copies of Zambian music, and even before the full normalization of the internet, there was still a huge decline in musical sales with the physical copies. Of course, piracy has got something to do with this, but at the same time, the prices were one thing that kind of made people a little bit skeptical of buying these copies. The average price being somewhere between 150 kwacha to about 300 kwacha, and for an album, that still kind of seems a whole lot. It still seems a whole lot despite all of that. The other solution, buying from a platform like Mbesesani. So Mbesesani is an online store with different genres, different Zambian artists, but with prices like this, it still doesn't fit well with the local community. I mean, just look at this. 4 songs will cost me about 40 kwacha, and for an album, that's 100 kwacha. With numbers like this, I don't think any positive change will happen in the near future. Look at it like this. So in 2020, during the Rona-ish, Anyways, in 2020, a Zamtel hack was found that gave access to people to have the ability to download gigabytes and even terabytes of data for free. And really, Zamtel tried here and there changing their proxies, but people were still motivated. The feeling of having cheap and free unlimited internet meant people kept on trying. And so eventually, Zamtel finally put their foot down, made a few changes, and drastically reduced how much they were charging for bundles. And this reduced the amount of motivation that people had. I mean, if you're paying something like 28 kwacha for 10 GB worth of data, unlike any other network that we currently have in Zambia that's charging with such rates, your motivation to kind of find cheaper means and ways of, hacking different systems, it drastically reduces. We are about 19 million people in Zambia. And imagine a platform like Mvesesani could get even 2 million Zambians to subscribe to their platform. Heck, just scratch that number. Supposing they had about 500,000 people who are willing to pay 10 kwacha for a monthly subscription. Doing the math, that's coming to 5 million kwacha in their bank account. Now, 5 million is no small number, really. And you can have the other users, the remaining 1.5 million, accessing it for free, but with ads here and there. It drastically brings a change in our music industry. Even within less than a year, it will change our economy greatly, and really even how people view content creation. And it all starts by changing, the slightest and smallest of things. So yeah, maybe I'm a little bit overzealous. Maybe. But I don't know. Looking at the way the current system is put in place with these platforms, you have your iTunes, you have your Spotify, you have your YouTube Music, and all sorts of other platforms. We just aren't necessarily working in a system that will be beneficial for our artists in the long run. Another solution, I guess, would be if albums were just sold for really, really less than that. Imagine if an album was also being sold at 10 kwacha or something like that, and you happen to have an artist who has even, let's say, 200,000 followers or something like that, and even 5,000 of them are willing to pay 10 kwacha for that particular artist's work. Doing the math again, that's coming about 50,000, which is still a better solution than if albums and music and all sorts of the current prices. I mean, we have artists who have millions of followers, and really if they could even get about 100,000 people of them to buy an album for 100 kwacha, they would be instant millionaires. And it would be all over social media. It would be on ZNBC, it would be on Movie TV, it would be on name that particular platform. But we're not seeing that. That isn't the case. This isn't what we're seeing in reality. It's also showing that there's a disconnect with the local community. It might seem cheap to say that one song is going for 10 kwacha, but that's not what's happening on the ground. How many people are willing to buy, like I showed you, 4 songs came to 40 kwacha. And again, those songs can easily be sent through different social media platforms. It's showing that it isn't just a model that's making sense. It isn't something that people are willing to get behind. If we happen to reduce and say, let's say an album will go for 9 kwacha 99 ingwe or 10 kwacha, and one particular song will go for 1 kwacha. Yeah, let's just put it at 1 kwacha or something like that. And it's localized within an app. It's not something that you can offline download. My goodness, the change that we would see in our music industry, and really the whole creative content industry, would massively change. People are willing to spend when it doesn't feel like you're eating from them. Because I see an album is going for 100 kwacha. I'm thinking, okay, so if this mark gets 10,000 people to buy his work, it's going to be X amount. But if I pay 10 kwacha for an album or less than that, and then you add up with the different amounts of followers he has. But currently what we're seeing is that people aren't just necessarily willing to pay 100 kwachas and 10 kwachas for one particular song and 100 kwacha for one particular album. It's just not adding up, despite the amount of money that it costs to produce these albums. It's just not the same. Like I said in this example,
now what y'all make is digital content, which means you make an album once and it can be redistributed thousands, millions, and even billions of times. You see, so we just can't charge the same way for such products. Look at this. It costed Marvel over $300 million to produce Avengers Endgame, and today I can purchase that same movie for about 80 kwacha or spend a 50 kwacha to watch it. This is just an example of how such content is sold. They are flipping sold at almost 100% losses to make billions of dollars in profits. Think of it. Books, games, most digital content. They're only made once and sold at major losses for starters, but ultimately generate so much money for the people creating. And look, I'm not being disrespectful, but a few people are willing to pay 100 kwacha for your album, especially with piracy readily available.
Like I said in that, the way that intellectual property has to be charged is different. It's different, and really, again, maybe I'm a little bit zealous and maybe I'm over expecting. But yeah, I guess this is a conversation that's worth having. Why aren't Zambians making money? I would like to read what you have to say in the comment section, and please do share this video around. And thank you very much for watching this video. If you happen to love the channel, there are other videos here, left, right, and center. And thank you very much. Peace. I'm done.
This is a crisis of truth, and yeah, walk on my knees, yeah, better than now. Yeah, I cover my face, a penny in my eyes. This life is a mess.